Join me every month for the inspiration to find your finish line. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Find Your Finish Line, presented by Active Ice, the official topical relief partner of Ironman, where you can find Active Ice on Amazon.com, at Walmart, and Ironman.com. Keep in mind, this podcast is not only about you being able to find your finish line at a race, but also in life. I'll talk with successful people who have overcome all kinds of tough odds to get to their finish line, both in sport and in life. And today, I've got the epitome of that in my guest. My guest is a 3-time Olympian. He's a 4-time ITU World Champion. I remember seeing him at the Olympics in Sydney back in 2000, live, if you can believe that. He's gone 740 for the Ironman at Ironman South Africa. He is just one strong dude with a resolve that you just won't believe. Let's welcome 44-year-old Tim Don, everybody. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing really well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. Really looking forward to this chat.
Well, I love calling you the Don, and you know the last time we were together, well, it was Kona, but where we did an interview. If you remember this, it was at the Boulder Theater at Ironman Boulder. I think it was in 2018 when we did that interview with On Running on the stage.
That's right. Yeah, it was the premiere of the documentary on made about myself breaking my neck in Kona and the comeback. And right. It was great to have you there. And then afterwards, we went on the stage and gave a chat. So no, it's funny. Sometimes I feel like it was yesterday, kind of like that chapter of my life.
I know.
And then sometimes I feel like, whoa, it was a whole nother life ago, because it's something so traumatic. But that you kind of compartment it.
We'll talk about that a little bit. But I'm the kind of likes talking about today and the future and what are we doing moving forward. But you did bring that halo up on stage because you lived with that thing for 3 or 4 months, for goodness sakes, to get back from your recovery of the crash in Kona before that race in 2018. One thing you said to me there that really stuck with me, it was like your friend but your worst enemy at the same time. Explain how that dichotomy of wearing that halo, you knew it was great for you, but it really sucked.
I mean, that's how it was. I mean, it's something that had to be done if I wanted any chance of coming back to race again, to have an active life with my young family. But the downside is not many people opt for the halo. Most people opt for the fusion, the operation, because it's over in while you're asleep, and within a week, 2 weeks, you're back to normal virtually, because they're just fusing the bones together with hardware. But obviously having the halo it had to be done. But no, in that, I genuinely say this: if something like that happened to me again, I don't think I could go through with it. I think not knowing. Not doing the research. I flew back from Hawaii virtually within 48 or 24 hours. I saw the specialist in Boulder, and literally he said, you've got 3 choices: the halo, the fusion, or a soft collar, but you have to go for this one because it gives you the best chance of success. I didn't know what a halo was, so I said, yep, you're the expert, let's do it, okay? And he goes, well, what? I said, well, I'll go and have coffee with my wife quickly because I haven't seen her for 4 weeks because I was in a Ironman camp pre-Kona. So I went and had coffee, and I said I was having a halo, and she said, what's this? I said, oh, it's this thing goes around your head, and and she went, oh, okay, no worries, that's what they say. Is it sore? I said, yeah, my neck's quite sore, but my shoulder, my knee, and then everything turned on a dime when they started to screw those bolts into my forehead.
Yeah, I just, when you just said, Tim, if it happened again, you don't know if you could go through with it. I tell you what, I don't know if I or others I've talked to about it could have gone through with it. But your background of being the intense athlete you are, being the type of guy that always trying to get to that finish line, do you think your resolve of being that athlete and going through so many hurdles through your career got you through that time?
Absolutely. I think when you're in the heat of the battle, whether it is, the last 10K of an Ironman or, going through what I went through with my broken neck, you're so present that you don't see the bigger picture. Like for me at that moment, I just saw I had to get better. I wanted to get better. I wanted to quit on my terms, and that was the process. But then, you know, when you look back and you see how far you've come, whatever that is, sports, life, family, education, you know, for me with my neck, then it is definitely, you do definitely think that it is what you've done enables you to be who you are moving forward and the type of person. And I think as I'm getting a bit older, I'm looking, I look back, you know, just as much as I look forward at the moment. So it is one of those things that, I think my athletic career definitely put me in good stead for that resilience, that grit of wanting to, you know, to do the best for my family, for me, and for the triathlon community.
Well, that resilience and grit then got you to the Boston Marathon in April of 2018, where the reason I know this time, the 2:49:52, my PR was 2:49:59. I needed to break 2:50 to qualify for Boston. And at a race in Arizona, I went 2:49:59. So when you went 2:49, I go, oh, I know what that's like, going right below the 2:50 mark, because that was, I believe that was your goal, to break 2:50, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, they wanted a goal. I just wanted to finish it, if I was genuinely honest. But you know, this high performance world we live in, you know, the amateurs as much, if not more, than the professionals. That people are asking, what time do you want to run? And I was like, I didn't want to say 3 hours. So I said, you know, I think I can run a 2:50, but it's a big ask. Genuinely, that is like that I'm not saying I know I can easily run that, so I'm going to say that. You know, I genuinely thought 3 hours was very doable, but 2:50 was going to be right on the cusp of yes or no. And as you said, it was very close. And the weather was awful, which did not help that year. It was torrential rain, ice cold. Yeah, it was really, really brutal conditions.
Yeah, 2018 was the worst, watching that on TV. And then, you know, all of a sudden, you had to close the door, didn't you, Tim, on the Kona deal. Here, a year later, you come back. You know, having the opportunity to bring you across that finish line at 8 hours and 45 minutes, it was like, in my mind, you won the race. So was it like that in your mind, where, damn it, I got back here, I did the race. Yeah, sure, I didn't win or podium, but that 8:45 had to feel like one hell of a win to you.
Oh, it did. I mean, just being on the start line. I mean, also I had to qualify as well. And I had to do so from breaking my neck to going to Kona 12 months later. I had to do 2 Ironmen plus 3 70.3s just to get enough points as a professional to qualify. So for me, I felt like I'd won just by being there. And then the fact my wife was there and my daughter, that was their first time they've been to Hawaii, because it's such a big trip with a young family. And it is Hawaii, but it's not Hawaii as holiday people know it. I'd be in the zone. I'm not saying they wouldn't enjoy it, but you know, it's quite an intense period of time when you're an athlete. But I really wanted them to be there, and I'm so glad. And they were right there, just past you on the finish line. So the first people I saw was Kelly, my wife, and Matilda, my daughter. Our son Hugo, he was only 4 at the time, and we were living in England. My wife had just moved back to England because we were in the process, and it was too far for him to come as a 4-year-old. I think they were only there 6 days. So yeah, that meant a lot to me, and it definitely was closing a chapter. And I don't mean a chapter as in my athletic career, but kind of Kona is everyone has a story to tell about Kona, and you know, mine is no different to any others, but I felt I still had a chapter to write, and by turning up in 2018, I definitely feel I finished that book.
Well, and to our listeners out there, I don't know if you realize, you know, Ironman called Tim, said, hey, you know what, since you hadn't qualified at that point, we can give you a spot, because you were at like 51st, and they only took, you know, 50 men. And Tim says, no, I gotta go the way I have to go with qualification, and you did that. It showed the type of character you are, Tim, to, you know, not be given a spot and take it away from somebody else possibly, and all that, you know, story. So congratulations on you being that type of person to go ahead and earn the spot, because earning it is what it's all about, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we do this sport. Yes, someone has to win. Someone has to finish on the podium, but we all have that internal clock that is telling us how to beat our drum, what we can get out of ourselves. And for me with Ironman, it's just the focus of it, because it's such an individual race, and I really wanted to earn that spot to get there. I'm very thankful, for Ironman, but I felt I owed it to myself that I'd come so far, and I'd rather kind of die failing, rather try and fail than never try at all. So, if anything, that gave me that extra motivation to really get there, was to earn my spot on the start line.
Well, good for you. And Tim is in Lanzarote right now training for Tim Don, but I'm going to get to that in a second. Before we do, I love the part of your career right now where you're that manager, that coach. Let's talk Super League and the arena games, and it's all in unison with the ITU, and here you're managing the team called the Eagles of the teams there. That has to be, it's not a full circle thing, but here you're still an athlete competing at the highest level, but yet managing and coaching, that's got to be some great gratification for you.
Oh, it is. I love it. I mean, I love being on that side of the fence. I coach Emma Pallant and Jeannie Metzler. Yeah. So I coach two of the top women athletes in the world over 70.3. And I really love being a part of their journey, of their process. And, working with the Eagles, I've got Alex Yee, Jessica Learmoth, Taylor Spivey, Seth Ryder, with the current SLT champions. But I still also actually raced the first arena games in London last year. So They invited me to race. So I was there racing, and then 7 months later, I'm managing the team. And I think having that insight of being current, I knew the style of racing, the ferocity of it, the intensity, you miss a second, you miss a wheel here and there, and your whole race can change. I really understood that. So, I hope that came across in my managerial skills with the athletes in terms of, getting them in the best place possible so they can execute their race. And as you said, it's going to be an official world triathlon race now with the arena games, with a race in London, Munich, and the grand final in Singapore. It's really nice. In the 90s, I used to go to Australia in the European winters, and I used to race what we called the St. George Formula One, which was the super, swim, bike, run. So I raced that when I was a teenager, and now to come back and see it hopefully going global, it's just another facet of triathlon that makes triathlon a wonderful sport.
Yeah, when here from the States and knowing Welchie, and they all would race over there, and even a lot of the people like yourself and I'm trying to think, Laura Bennett would go over there and race, and everybody came back in such unbelievable shape, even though it's not the quote unquote the long distance, but they just came back with this anaerobic ability to go out there and just burn the 70.3 courses. You still see that happening?
Absolutely. I think we're seeing that crossover more and more. You got Indian Wells at the end of last year. You had Vince, you had Hella Gaines, the Belgium athlete, two amazing athletes that were at the Olympic Games. I think Hella Gaines is going to Dubai next weekend, the 70.3, to race there. So, you've got these ITU, these short course athletes, they're using that intensity. They've got such a skill set, their transitions, their start, they can really read a race, and they're bringing that across, and it is revolutionizing 70.3 racing. And we saw in two races with Eden and Christian in Cozumel and Florida, it's only getting quicker for the men, and the women are not far behind with the likes of Lucy Charles as well.
You're absolutely right. And being at Ironman Florida and seeing Gustav race, I was getting splits, and I'm going, it hit me after being in, part of the sport for so long. I go, we're breaking this new history barrier. It's happening right in front of our eyes because of the times and how fast everybody are going. Even for someone like yourself who's still in the thick of it, it's almost got to be like refreshing, because you go, you know what, there is another level we can go after. Absolutely.
I think, they say all boats rise on the same tide. And I think, we needed that watershed moment, and whether it was, the likes of Lionel finally, stepping up consistently, Jan doing it. But now we've got this wave. You can't name them all on the men's side or the women's, because they're just there's just a wave of them, and it's exciting, and it's challenging, and you can't rest on your laurels. You have to think outside the box. You have to change the way you train, how you train. And the other thing that's really changed with the Ironman over the last 5-6 years is you can race an international world-class race 12 months of the year. It used to be a predominantly North America, European season, but now, we've got the best athletes in the world going toe-to-toe in A condition next weekend in Dubai, and Indian Wells, we had the same, which was December. It just goes to show you the growth and, of the sport for the professionals is really, really healthy.
And the reason I love that, and like you say, it's healthy, is because it's going to draw new talent into our sport. It's not like we, love all the pros, but you don't want them to be the same pros for years to come. You want that new talent to come in because I think it raises the level.
I don't know. I disagree with that. I quite like if it was just me at the top and everyone behind me. But that's just me. You can edit that.
No, I don't edit nothing. So
oh God, it tells me now.
Nothing wrong with wanting to be at the top. I love that.
Man.
With Super League and the arena games and everything, they don't really see themselves in competition with Ironman or PTO or other triathlon event series out there. Why is that?
I think for the Super League, at the moment, they don't have a mass age group participation. They are trying to sell triathlon as a spectator sport. So there's no real competition for that. Yes, you have the Marathon Masters, your Boston, your Chicago, your New York, London, Tokyo, we watch them, but we're not going to watch the Sacramento Marathon or the Milwaukee Marathon. While they want Super League to really have the best of the best racing over a format that's engaging. So it's not just, like-minded triathletes that watch, that someone's going to flick through the channels and go, what is this? Wow, this is Fast and Furious. This is amazing. And I think they've got a great Michael Dolst, who is the CEO. He's got great vision for where they're going, and the fact that the Arena Games has come out of the pandemic, yet the World Triathlon are recognizing it as an official world title. The Super League next year, we've got some great races. We've got some new venues for the end of this year, and they're complementing. They don't put them on the same day as Ironman races, big Ironman races, and big World Triathlon races as well, because they see that the athletes, they want them to all have an equal opportunity to race.
They are so exciting to watch. I just love it. So let's switch gears a little bit here with your coaching and your Halo ID team with Ian Dempsey. Tell us about that team, Tim.
Yeah, so Ian's actually here with me now. He's Ian and myself, we've trained together for the last few years, and we didn't want to do a team, but we thought we've got so much knowledge, and we come from different backgrounds. I've been a triathlete since the 90s. Ian found the sport about 5 or 6 years ago. Before then, he led a very unhealthy lifestyle. But now he's a professional. He qualified to get his pro card at the age of 40. So he sees the sport totally different from me. We get on tremendously well. And we've set this club called Halo ID, and it's really inexpensive to join. It's about $18 a month to join. And once you join, you get a whole barrage of content from myself and Ian. Lots of it's live. We're running kind of Zwift rides through Zoom as well, with myself and Ian, not just with other people. Every Monday, we drop a Monday message into everyone's inbox that we record live the night before, of talking all things endurance, whether it's triathlon, cyclocross, running, Formula One, anything to do with sport. And we're also we're going to have 2 training days a year, which are totally free for our members. So they're going to be an in-person training day. And every 6 weeks, we're going to do R&Cs, ride and coffees as well, where we meet up for a bike ride. And if they wear their team kit, I can't believe I said this, I'm going to buy everyone coffee. So no swapping jerseys here. We really want this community, because not just through the Man with a Halo, but when I was younger, when I started with a small triathlon club. I was fortunate it was Spencer Smith's triathlon club, but there was maybe only 50, 60 members back in the 90s in a swimming pool in West London. And I still could tell you what at least 15, 20 of those guys' names were, because I remember them. That's how much of an impact they had on my life when I was so young. And that's the community we want to install. We've got some great partners involved, which are going to be offering amazing discounts and free product to our members, but also they're going to be offering their expertise. So we're working with a nutritional company, but we're going to be doing some live Q&As with the nutritional experts. So we're not just saying, use this product, it's really good. We're going to be telling you how to use it, why to use it. We really want to kind of educate people, and it's not for the guys that want to just win their age group in Kona. It's not for the first timers. It's everyone can take something out of it. And it's really exciting. It's quite nervous because I know if I do X training, I know it's going to translate to a performance. But this is whole new, running a website, organize the member. Yeah, it's really, really exciting, but very challenging. And we've been live for 10 days now. So we've only literally just launched last Friday.
Yeah, I saw one of your first videos. I go, God, that is very cool to be able to give back and do that. You know, you've trained with a certain and specific triathlon philosophy over the years. You've really never missed a season because of a quote unquote injury. Are you able to transfer that into your coaching, Tim, of not having people just go so overboard that they do get hurt and be able to try to keep that balance?
That's very hard to do, let me tell you. Being on the other side of the fence, I do try.
For your personality,
yeah. I struggle's the wrong word, but I sometimes battle with some of my Emma Pallant, and she won't mind me saying this. She's racing. There's a new race in Florida this weekend called the Couples Challenge, and then she's racing. There's a race in Miami the weekend after she's racing, but she wants to race every weekend. And I'm like, you can be good, but if you want to be great, you have to sacrifice some of these races. And I've worked with her for just over a year now, and I think slowly she's understanding consistency is key, but sometimes you've got to sacrifice a race. And she lives in South Africa, and if you look to get anywhere where there's a big race, it's a heck of a long travel. So slowly, but I also want to kind of educate. I want her to be the captain of her own ship as well. And, you know, I don't want to be one of those coaches that is, because I never got on with those coaches who are very dictatorial. They'll be like, do this, you have to do this. If you don't do this, you know, I want to have, well, what do you think works for you? Okay. And I've got my philosophy, and like we all do, you know, and then we kind of come together and see how it works. And I'm really enjoying that process. And it's I'm learning, you know, from my athletes as well, which is brilliant. It really is.
Well, you believe coaching is a partnership, which some of the most successful coaches in the world really believe they're a partner with their athlete, not a dictator, as you say. And you're one of them. I mean, I look at Mark Allen and Dave Scott and others, and it's a partnership. Even though Dave Scott will tell you right what to do, huh? He'll beat you up if he wants to.
I was going to say, I'm not saying anything about Dave. He'll find my number and phone me up. Having trained, I swam in his swim squad when I lived in Boulder. Man, he's a fierce guy. But you know what? He's got a heart of gold. He really has. He's one of the most caring guys out there. I'll say that.
He does. He's the man. That's all we can say, huh? He is the man. Hey, tell us about your being a mentor for the Zwift Triathlon Academy. What's that all about?
Yeah, so I've been a big fan of Zwift and used it for many, many years. And they have the Cycling Academy for the females. And if you win the academy, I think the two winners get a professional contract. And the same with the men's side. I think there's one winner and he gets a professional cycling contract. And they really wanted to get that community going within triathlon on Zwift. But they realized it's not as simple because there's obviously swimming. And if you join a pro cycling team, you're in the team and you travel with them. But triathlon, doesn't work like that. Everyone's got different coaches and we're all over the place. So they came up with this concept of finding 6 athletes that can try and qualify for Kona, that have a really good chance of qualifying for Kona. And then hopefully some of them could podium in Kona. And there's a whole series that I think they had nearly 18,000 people sign up for it. And some people just sign up for it because they want to do the process, because there's lots of sessions on Zwift. There's lots of races. So it's a real good. And then they narrow it down to about 40. And then everyone sends in a video of themselves. And then from that, they then pick 6. So at the moment, we've got 6 athletes. And yeah, they asked me to be a mentor with Sarah True as well. So we've got lots of WhatsApp action going on. It's lots of WhatsApp groups. But they've also got some great partners. So 2 weeks ago, I was actually in California. And we went to Morgan Hill, Specialized headquarters, and we took everyone through the wind tunnel at Specialized. They got bike fitted, they got all their equipment, they getting all. It's probably as good as a young pro kind of deal, the equipment and support. But they don't just want to give it to them and say, off you go, we'll see you. They're really trying to add this kind of mentorship, this support, so they can reach out to us. They've got their own coaches, but if they need advice about race selection, about equipment, just about all of a sudden they're having to do a lot more for social media, through the academy, and that with itself can bring pressure and stress. And then from California, we went straight to St. George, and I was messaging Heather and Rock, and they sent me the course before it went live. I probably shouldn't have said that as well. So we could ride the course the week before Ironman put it on their website. Let me tell you, that new Ironman course in St. George is amazing. It is going to be such an honest race. You're going to be a true world champion there. And yeah, we took them through that. And then, yeah, I just love that interaction. I love, sitting down with like-minded people, talking about triathlon, finding ways that we can maybe find time here, efficiency there, listen to people's stories. I'm really fortunate to be part of the academy. I really am.
That's very cool. It sounds fantastic. But you led me right into my next question, because I really wanted to dig in with you about the IRONMAN World Championships, the 2021 IRONMAN World Championships in St. George, May 7th. You actually won the 70.3 there when it was the North America Championship, so you kind of know that course pretty well. But what that course, it's going to be an equalizer, I truly believe. Give us your take on that course, and what type of performance and what type of athlete you think is going to be on that podium.
I think for the women's race, it's going to favor the brave. You come out the swim and you go on a new road to not the St. George airport. There's a very tiny airport, but it's hilly. I mean, there's over 2,000 to nearly 6,000 feet of vertical climbing on the course. But I would say 4,000 comes in the second half. So if you burn your matches on the rolling roads around Sandy Hollow, going into St. George, before you hit the long, steady climb, and then you come flying down the parkway and then up Snow Canyon. So I definitely think for the women's race, someone like Lucy Charles, Daniela Reef, Anna Haag, they swim very differently. Laura Phillips, but they're gonna, if they stick to their guns on the bike, it's going to be such an interesting race. On the men's race, I really think it's going to come down to a running race, because lots of the good runners are really good swimmers, like your Patrick Lang, your Jan Frodeno, your Christian, your Gustav, and then you've got Lionel, Sebi, say Sam Long, Ben Hoffman. Some of those athletes, they're going to be riding through. So they're going to use lots of their power on the flat rolling road. And then when they hit the hills, the lighter athletes, the runners, they're going to be in their element. So that could equalize it. So you could see a big pack coming off the bike. But saying that, one of the Scandinavians, one of the Danish could just take the race and ride away. But it's going to be really interesting. And the run course is really good to hopscotch. So the way the flow of the run course, if you're a spectator and you're there's so many places you can crisscross the course. And I think that's exciting. But I think to have the first ever non-Hawaiian, I know it's been on another island, but the first ever non-Hawaiian, you couldn't pick a better city. I mean, I've raced there 3 or 4 times. Yeah. Even there was a buzz when I was there 2 weeks ago. We were, a big group with cameras around us, and they're like, you're here for the Ironman. We saw some other athletes training there to get a feel for it. It's a small town, and with the backdrop of the Red Rocks, man, yeah, it's going to be brilliant. I'm so fortunate we're going to be there.
Yeah, it'll be great to see you there. I actually am going to go for a couple of days in March and jump on the bike and get up that canyon and ride some of the course. I just like knowing what, and Rox kind of told me about it. And what I love about it, they call it the land of endurance, which it really is. even though as hard as Kona is, Tim, and I'm sure you agree with this, and as challenging as St. George is going to be, those make the true championships where you really find out who the true champion is, don't you?
Absolutely. I think, you're not just racing yourself and your competitors, you're racing what's put in front of you. And, Kona is mythical. There's something about it. The fact it's in October, it's the end of the year. The professionals don't have that depth of field in any of the other races. Everyone comes together. Plus, you throw in the wind, the humidity, the heat, even a no wetsuit swim. That's very rare to have a no wetsuit swim. There's all these elements. And I think, St. George, in a different way, it's got one of the hilliest bike courses, but I still think it's going to be quick. I think they're going to be going, Kona times, if not quicker, just with the nature of, we were talking earlier about, how everyone excellence creates excellence. Everyone's getting quicker.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a true champion. It's not it's not a velodrome course like you see some of them. You've got to have your nutrition, your tactics. And lots of athletes are not used to being in their A shape in May. So someone like Jan, he peaks throughout the year. Someone like Daniela Reef, she races very well early on, and she's already racing. Lucy Charles, she normally races mid to end of season. Rinny, she normally doesn't win anything and then turns up to Kona and smashes. So it's going to be interesting to see how the athletes are prepared through closer to a European winter.
Tim, from the coaching side and the managing and mentorship side, I see so much fodder out there on social media from the age groupers on St. George. What am I going to do? How am I going to race? What's the nutrition? What advice would you give to our age group athletes who are racing St. George?
Patience. Have to be patient on that course. You're going to get to that lake early on a yellow school bus, and it's going to be cold. It is going to be cold. You're going to need your woolly hat and your gloves, but it could be mid to late 80s in the day. But on that bike course, be patient. Wait, and take the recovery on the downhill. It's not like Nice World 70.3s. That's kind of the downhill is like Alpe d'Huez, Tour de France. The downhill is very steady. But make sure you're hitting that nutrition. But I think you've got to have patience on that bike and really, really kind of save something for the run, because that much climbing, that later in, is hard to replicate, because people, North Americans, they can't go out and train massive mountains because they're all covered in snow at the moment. So I just think patience is a key word, and believe in your training and the ability to your own race.
I think that is perfect advice. Patience. Got to remember that. Hey, Tim, do you think we're going to have a sub 7 for the men and sub 8 for the women? Who do you think is going to do it first, or if anybody at all?
I think the women are going to go sub 8. I think, Lucy Charles, what she did in St. George last year and the Arena Games, she got second in the British 1500 meter swimming champs. She has got a new coach as of last year, Dan, and if they can stay injury free, I think she's going to go sub 8. On the men's side, I think you're going to see two different tactics. Alistair's a different animal, a different personality to Christian when it comes to how they're going to do it. I just hope that they don't get too greedy. I know that they're racing in the next couple of weeks. Then they want to win St. George, and then I think it's 4 weeks later they're flying back to Europe for this sub 7. To go that quick on the bike, they're going to have to average kind of 31, 32 miles an hour and then run a 2:30. Even with even with athletes that they're allowed to slipstream and draft, that takes some skill, which if you don't practice that skill of riding this close to a wheel at those speeds with people you don't know. So I think I wouldn't underestimate that 7 hours, but it's going to be exciting. I know that. And they're pushing the boundaries in different ways. And it's great to see that.
Yeah, it is. But I think I agree with you on Lucy. Everything just seems... The stars seem to be in a line for her right now from what we've seen in the past. But obviously, as you know, as every new season comes up, you never know where their mindset is or what kind of shape they're in. Hold on, everyone. We'll be right back after a message from our sponsors. As an endurance athlete, you're constantly pushing your body to new limits, searching for your personal best, for the next finish line. If you're training for an endurance event, whether short distance or long distance, proper recovery is the key to you unlocking your potential. As the official topical pain relief partner for the Ironman US series, Active Ice's lineup of topical cooling gel, roll-on and spray features 8% menthol and eucalyptus oil to provide the instant icy relief you need to recover smarter and faster. The water-based, non-sticky formula withstands sweat to keep up with the demands and exertion of race day. Don't let muscle pain or sprains hold you back from reaching your potential, from reaching your personal best. Shop the Active Ice's lineup on Amazon today for the support you need to find your finish line. We're talking with Tim Don, three-time Olympian, four-time ITU world champion. You never held back your opinion about anything, and I love that. How do you think the sport of triathlon is doing overall? What's your perspective? What do you think it can do better, or what do you think it's doing that's not so good?
You know what, coming off the 2-year pandemic and considering it's a mass participation sport, it's doing great. Yeah. It really is. I think it's evolving. I just wish, and again, I'm probably shouldn't say it, I wish everyone would come to the same table, whether it's PTO, Ironman, Challenge, and let's have some synergy here, guys. Let's all work together. Let's not work against each other. But I love it. There's new races everywhere, and I think that's great for the age groupers. I think you've got lots. You got one in Russia I saw the other day. You've got some in there's more in Greece. There are new 70.3s and Ironman races all over the place, and I think that's a testament to the desire from the athletes. Obviously, the race organizers do their due diligence. They're not going to put on a race if they don't think they're going to fill it. And, the fact that we're adding these races and they're selling out, I think the sport is in a great place, and it's healthy. I'm really excited. This year's a big year because we've got 2 Konas plus another St. George. We've got, for myself, we've got the Commonwealth Games, which are actually in Birmingham in England. So that's a big thing for the Commonwealth. Yes. Plus the Super League is taking off. The Arena Games is going new. And we've got 2 new Olympic champions, which are they're just amazing athletes with Flora and Christian. And they're not afraid to stick to ITU and World Triathlon. They're branching out, and I just think that professionally, I think it's pretty healthy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, for all the factions to come to the table together, it'd be interesting what topics they could discuss. But I think there'd be a lot to discuss. But I think we're in, like as I said before, that edge of a new era, and we're seeing it right before our very eyes. I love it. Hey, before we talk about your upcoming race, you've lived in, obviously, Boulder, the UK, South Africa. You've gone to train the Gold Coast, Lanzarote, like you're in now. But now you've based your home in the UK the last few years, and that transition. How's that worked out? Is it you're doing it because you want that family unit to stay cohesive and have one foundation?
Yeah, I'm no spring chicken, and I lived in South Africa.
Yes, you are. Okay.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now.
That's good. I'll take that. I've lived all over the world because of my sport, and I met my wife when I was living in South Africa in early 2001. I moved there because I thought it was the greatest place to train. So after I broke my neck, we decided, it's kind of like, do we try and go for the green card because I had a work visa to train and race in America, or do we kind of like move back? And our parents, so we decided to move back, and we're fortunate enough. We live in a tiny village in the middle of England. But the biggest town close to us, one's Leicester, the other one's one called Loughborough, and that's where our Colorado Springs is, our Olympic training center. So I swim every day with the likes of Alex Yee, with Sophie Caldwell, and the British Para Squad. We've also got Adam Peaty, the double Olympic gold medalist for 100-meter breaststroke. So it's not just the athletes. The infrastructure is really good. There's great physios, great masseurs, great strength and conditioning. As I say, it's in a tiny village where I live, so it's great riding. So I do come to Lanzarote. It's only a 4-hour flight, so I normally come for 10 days. Then I go home for 2 or 3 weeks, come back out. So you can't really bike at the moment in England because it's really wet and damp, and we've had everywhere's flooded. We live on a river and it's absolutely flooded. Unfortunately, we had these big storms last week. But yeah, no, I mean, let's be honest. I struggle with the weather. I really do. It's a summer sport, but we make the most of it. And, you know, we're doing okay. So last week, Kelly, my wife, Matilda and Hugo, they were here with me in Lanzarote. I'm fortunate I'm sponsored by a hotel here, so we can come here quite regularly whenever we need to train. And yeah, they had a great time. They got some sun on their back. And then they go back because they've got school this week. And then I stay out here for another 10 days with Ian.
So let's talk about that. You're with your buddy, your mate Ian, and you're training for Ironman South Africa, which is the first weekend of April.
That's right.
And you're in that mode now. You're that professional athlete that you've been doing this a long time, and you've got your sights set on that race in South Africa. You want to win it. You want to win it?
You know, I do, and I do, absolutely. But I always think and you got to hear me out here, I always think it's arrogant to go to a race wanting to win it, because you can only, over 9 hours, or you can only control what you can control. And I can only control me. If you know, Jan turns up in the shape of his life, fair play. I always want to be in the ballpark to win it and fight for a podium. That's kind of like how I go, because as soon as you mentally, if you say, I want to win it, and all of a sudden you're not in that position, you could change your mindset, and you never know what's going to happen, because you just could have 3 hours to go, even 10 kilometers of the run, a lot can change. But yeah, right now we're here, it's great weather, really windy, so we're doing lots of miles on the bike, really trying to kind of like really build my endurance up. And then, when I go home, I do a lot more running and swimming specific, and then I'll do another block here. And then I used to live in Stellenbosch, just outside of Cape Town. So I go there, I think 3.5 weeks before the race. That's the plan. And then I'll do my last block there as well. But I've raced there before, and it's a great course. It's a real honest. I mean, yeah, the world champs were there, so it's the same city. We just do 2 laps of the bike, and I think it's a different run, but very similar. So the bike course is really honest. In fact, last time I raced, they had to shorten the swim because it was so rough.
Right.
So I'm hoping they don't do that, but yeah. It is what it is. So
I really wish I could be down there and see that, stand next to Paul Kay and have him bring you in. Do you, Tim, put a time in your head? Hey, I know the course. I know what kind of shape I'm in, and if I don't go 8:10, I'll be disappointed. Or if I don't go low 8s, or do you ever put a time in your head for a course and how your training's been going?
No, I mean, I would rather win in the slowest time in the world than lose in the quickest time, in the second quickest time in the world. You know, that's the thing, is we're racing. It's not a time trial. I definitely know, you know, I know numbers. I know what I need to hold and what I can hold on the bike in terms of my power. So I do like to stick to that. And, you know, I'm pretty honest with myself. I as I said, you know, I'm not one of those athletes who's just going to come in there waltzing around like the MMA fighters. You know, I'm going to do my homework, and, you know, and until I cross that line, anything can happen. So I'm going to stay present, stay in the moment until that. But yeah, you definitely go in, you know, I know that course, you can definitely run a 2:45 off the hard bike. I know the bike isn't quick, but you've got to have a good first lap to save energy for the second lap. So there's different ways I see it. I'm guessing I haven't qualified for St. George, so not most people who are racing St. George probably won't be in Ironman South Africa. So it could be a thinner field. So therefore, if I can have a really good swim with a few other athletes, we can really spread the race out from the start. I'm already thinking tactics.
Yeah, I know. I love that. You know, you must also take a look at someone like Cameron Brown, you know, who's won New Zealand 13 times. And you said, you're no spring chicken. He's the guy approaching 50. He's closer to 50 than you are. Do you think in the pro ranks, the pros, both male and female, are going, you know what? I can have a career that's going to go into my 40s, and I won't just be out there playing around. I'll still be very competitive. You must love that.
I do. And I think it is possible. I think, you know, with what we know now about science in terms of training philosophies and training methods, we can definitely train smarter. You know, back in the day, you know, what we said, you know, Dave Scott, Mark Allen, you know, they used to just kill themselves every day, and the strongest man won. Now you can't afford to do that. It's the smartest trainer. I mean, look at the Norwegians and how Lucy's training, and Arne Haag. You know, so, you know, as you get older, you need to train to your strengths. I think at the moment, I think myself and Cam and a few others we're the back end of that. But I do think in the next 5 or 6 years, it's more going to be the mental strain of wanting to do that. Because when I got into triathlon, I got into it. It wasn't an Olympic sport. It was just a bloody lot of fun, and I really loved it. And I wanted to see how I could go with it. Well, now you're getting 8, 9, 10-year-olds who want to be professional triathletes. And that's a lot of pressure. And with this new social world that's only getting bigger and more transparent, you know, it's you know, we're not seeing as many ITU guys. You're seeing the top guys, but some of the ones, you know, the 20th to 40th and the 50th in the world, they used to always come up to Ironman. Now they're walking away from the sport. We're not having the depth. We're having the quality, but not the depth, move up the distances. And I just think there's more pressure from federations. There's more races. There's more. Yeah, it's getting tougher to stay at the top. I definitely know that.
How do you think somebody like an Alex Yee will handle that, or what do you think his future looks like?
Man, he's a maverick. He's a generation athlete. He really is. I mean, you know what? I mean, he won obviously the silver medal and then the gold medal, but 2 months before, people wouldn't have even said he had a chance of winning a medal. Yet once he won that race in Leeds, and how he won it, how he turned potential into reality. I think he's got a bright future, and I think he's only about 12. No, he's only early 20s, and he's got he's actually wise. I was with him in London a couple of weeks ago at a premiere that we went to, and he's just got such a wise head. He's not wanting to break records. He's not wanting to set the world on fire. He just wants to improve his craft and improve his skill. And he knows he's not the finished article. He knows he's got work to do on his swimming and his biking. Yet this is a guy who's an Olympic silver medalist telling me he needs to work on his swimming, and you know, just that mental commitment and the you know, focusing on the process is just fantastic. So, you know, I think it was about six years ago, he had a big bike crash and he really damaged his spine. If you know, he's really been through the mill, and I just think it's made him more resilient, but more balanced and more level. So yeah, I'd love to see him. I definitely think he'll do 70.3. Will he do Ironman? I think that could be scary with his run talent. I mean, he's a 27-minute 10K runner. That is that could be amazing to see.
That is, when you start seeing some of the 10K times of these guys, and when I was running 10Ks and I was happy with, you know, 34 minutes and you gave everything you had and it was just a 10K and they're running 27 off the bike. I go, well, wait, that's not possible. But it is possible for guys like that. That's
next
for sure.
Next level.
Yeah, it is. Tim, but my last question on Find Your Finish Line comes out of, as you know, I'm in Southern California here in San Diego, and below us is the Baja of Mexico, and they have a race there called the Baja 1000, which is a trophy truck and car racing 1,000 miles through the desert. And all those racers afterwards, they sit around, you know, the table afterwards, and they call it table racing, where they reminisce about the race, you know, what went on, what happened, their memory. I call it tri-table racing. Give me a memory or a reminisce about an event that you did, whether you were a, 16-year-old or last year, that still sticks out in your mind.
Oh man, let's say you race for 2 hours and you can talk for it for 2 weeks. I totally agree with you. I don't know. I think years and years ago, I was coached by a coach. We were based in Switzerland, and we did the Outdoors triathlon. So you swim in this crazy cold lake because it's in the bottom of the Alps. You ride 30 kilometers flat, and then you go up Outdoors, and then you're at altitude 1,800 meters. So I don't know, like 6,000 feet. And then you do then you do the half marathon up there. Because it was a long run. And for me, just like that, I still remember, and it's always on a Thursday. It's always on Bastille Day. So that was just awesome. And then afterwards, we rode home to Switzerland, and it took us 3 days. Probably a bit crazy, but yeah, I just love that. It was just brilliant, and we were just talking about the race for 3 days. Yeah, and we'd stop, have a few beers, carry on riding. Yeah, and and then years before then, in 1998, I went to Alpe d'Huez to train for 8 weeks. I was racing for a French team when I was a junior, and so just that iconic climb, I know it so well, and to do a triathlon on that, and then just talk about it, I just loved it. It was good, really good.
Well, we share the Alpe d'Huez. I did a camp there with Jimmy Riccatello, who you know very well, and we went up that thing. We did it 3 times. The last time was the time trial, and he looked at me and he goes, "Riley, you better break," I think he said 118. "You better break 118 going up." And I went like 117, and all the way up, I'm almost crying. I go, it's like Jimmy was my father. I got to break every switchback. I'm doing like 3 miles an hour, and my legs are, but I did. I got up there and I showed him my watch. He goes, "All right." He goes, "I thought you'd go a little faster than that." I wanted to punch him out.
But it's such
a great
an emotional road. It's beautiful. It really is amazing.
It is. That put very well. It was an emotional road. That really was.
It is.
Well, Tim, you are a class act, and the sport of triathlon is very fortunate to have you. And now have you as a mentor and a coach, but still, I can't wait to watch the race, online from South Africa and see how you do down there. So good luck with all your training. Say hello to the family. I know Kelly is your rock, and the kids
Definitely.
are, right there with you. So take care of yourself, and thanks for being a guest.
No, thank you for having me. And and I look forward to seeing you in St. George.
St. George, baby. At least we can stand by the sideline and not have to worry about running or riding that thing, huh?
I know, yeah. We can relax as much as you can at an Ironman. I know it's a big day for you as well.
Well, thank you very much, Tim, and thank you, everybody, for another edition of listening to Find Your Finish Line, presented by Activice. It's like I'm losing my voice. I don't know why. Presented by Activice, the official topical pain relief partner of Ironman. Find it today on Amazon, Walmart, and Ironman.com. Thank you again, and if you like the show, please give us a review. You can do that through Spotify or Overcast or Apple Podcasts. Until next time, everybody, carry that aloha spirit with you. It'll get you through day by day. Take care.